Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Couch Conversations with the Doctor, where health is wealth. What night is it tonight? It is Monday night, and it is time for Couch Conversations with the Doctors. As always, we're going to go around introducing our phenomenal panel who is here with us on Monday. And before anybody asks, no, it is not a rerun. We are back live on the air, starting with Dr. Terry Mason, who's the urologist for the stars, the man who hates accolades. But I have a question. Is there a doctor in the house? Dr. Mason.
Well, there's one in my house right now because that's where I am. But no, but thank you very much, Nikki. I'm very glad to be with my colleagues tonight to have this great conversation, and thank the congressman and the rest of panel members on making sure that this happens and provides what our community needs more than anything else, and that's the truth.
Oh, phenomenal. Well, to that doctor who's known as Dr. 100 out here in this community, she walks these streets giving the truth. That's our very own Dr. Maya Green. Dr. Green.
Good evening. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Congressman, for organizing this. Thank you, community, for being with us all this time. It started during the time when we needed to fellowship. It's continuing during the time when we need community fellowship and a way to connect with each other. I'm excited to be part of this group of esteemed healthcare providers, and all of us are healers in our own way. So let's get it going.
Outstanding. Well, to my colleague that tends to leave us and go and have fun in the sun, while I believe Chicago weather is a bit fickle right now. That's our very own Dr. Douglas Graham. Doug?
Well, Nikki, you are right. I'm back. I was looking for hot, and I'm getting cold. I'm a little mixed up about that. I mean, this is supposed to be summer. It's supposed to be 90, not 60.
You are absolutely right. On to the man who is art. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I'm a retired physician. After retiring, I worked in the congressman's office. I became interested in public health and public policy. It's a real honor to be here with my colleagues, and I'm going to help see what I can do to talk about the subjects tonight.
Outstanding, outstanding. And to the gentleman who is the art connoisseur, that's our very own Joseph Harrington. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Nikki, how are you? I want to thank you and Congressman Davis for providing us with this platform. Most of my career has been in healthcare and public health. I worked at 3 different hospitals, retired in 2017 from the Illinois Department of Public Health. I was the regional health officer for Cook County, and I look forward to this discussion and answering questions to the extent that I can. And happy Monday to everybody.
Happy Monday. You are absolutely right. And to the man that makes this possible for us each and every Monday night, to the one who teaches us that your true wealth is your health. That's our very own Congressman of the Illinois 7th Congressional District, Congressman Danny K. Davis. Congressman?
Well, let me thank all of us for convening ourselves and being a part of these great discussions. Every time I see all of you and think of the discussions that we've held, I'm in the process of doing some archival work. And I am just amazed at what we have done, what we have accomplished over the years, the things that exist, things that have developed, things that have evolved. And so I want to start by saying thank you to all of you for making it happen. I also want to thank those individuals who've tuned in, who have given us thoughts and ideas and information. I've been told that knowledge makes the world go round. And in spite of sometimes it looks a little dark and murky and cloudy and rainy and dismal, and I don't mean just atmosphere or environment, but I mean relative to decisions that get made, but the optimism that we share kind of brightens up things a little bit, makes my day. And of all the subject areas in the world, all the things that people could talk about, all of the things that people could explore. I don't think there's anything more important than health. So thank you for making these evenings great. And as the blues singer would say, let's get it on.
Absolutely. Want to say hey to Angela Underwood, who is here with us. And she says hello to everyone. To Sharon Conaway, that is here with us. She says hello just as well. To Pat Dow, who is here with us. Hey, Alderman Dow, how are you? And she says hello to everyone just as well. I see that President Carrie Steele is here of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation. Hey, Carrie, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. Eric Kavler is here with us just as well. Hey, Eric, thanks for being here. To our guys over in the garage, you now have your weather, so I know you're back in your garage. So thank you guys for being here with us. And to Engine Company 70, who is here with us just as well. Over to the Core Center. They are working, but they are watching also. Well, Congressman, I understand that the Illinois Department of Public Health sent us a health alert today. I wanted to share that with all of our viewers and listeners.
Well, what's a health alert? What does it really mean? I think it means
It is
that
something that
some
go right ahead.
to watch out for, to be aware. So tell us what that is.
Absolutely. It is telling our communities how to be safe. So our health alert is telling our communities how to be safe and how to protect ourselves. And I understand that this particular health alert is speaking in reference to our infants and what we feed them. So Dr. Maya Green, if you can share that information and not only share what the health alert talks about, but share what has happened to 3 infants and how you can protect your children. Want to say hey to Melinda Maxwell that's here. Hey, Melinda. She says, hello, God bless everyone. Go right ahead, Dr. Maya.
Thanks. So earlier today, I think we got a notice that on, I think it's at the 13th, there were 3 infants, not in Illinois, that experienced infant botulism due to a whole milk organic formula sold in Target, in Target.com, and I believe it was by Nara Foods. And the formula is impacted with spores, which when you think about spores, I want you to think embryo. Like it's not the same thing as embryo, but if you think embryo, it's like a little ball before the actual thing comes, right? And what happens is the infant is drinking it, it goes down to the gut, and because infants typically don't have the right gut formation to clear it, because typically we have good bacteria and bad bacteria in our gut, right? Good bacteria is normal for everybody. It sits there, it handles its business, it does what it's supposed to do. It protects the streets of your body and your gut, right? It takes about a year to develop that. So a couple of things background about infants, usually a year to 18 months. Anything that they cover operates off the mommy's protective antibodies or immune system. As they grow their own immune system, yes, but also bacteria that functions to defend. So total defense system, the mom's defense system will back off. Okay. Now, say I'm 6 months. I'm not 12 months yet. I'm not a year yet. I don't have the gut bacteria that's going to protect and boop, 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 get these little baby spores so they don't grow into the bacteria that causes botulism, right? So then the little baby spores, which in human terms is like an embryo, sits there and it just sits, or a seed, not quite, but think about it like this. Then because it doesn't have, my body doesn't have the defense mechanism, it begins to grow into a full-blown bacteria. I believe the bacteria is called Clostridium botulism. That bacteria goes out and starts to attack my nerves. And here are my nerves. They're helping me flex, do this. They're helping me flex. They're helping the baby suckle, right? They're helping the baby vocal cords cry. Yeah. So all of those, the nerves have to activate the muscles that help the baby do all of that. Hold his head up, things like that. So think about it. if that bacteria is attacking it and the nerves aren't functioning, you're going to start to see things like the baby's not sucking. It's a weak sucking. It used to be like, you know how babies look at their mom and like that, or parent, feeding, they be like, now the baby's like, and not really able to latch onto the bottle or the nipple. The baby used to be able to hold their heads up starting at 6 months, but now the baby, not only are they not holding their head up, they just flopping like a weak, we call it flaccid baby. They not doing the muscle tone, grabbing fingers and things like that. And instead of crying like, when they hungry, they're like, because none of the muscles are working, because none of the nerves are there to right now excite those muscles, innervate those muscles. So that's the first sign. If my baby is experiencing this from that formula, I believe it was sold at Target.com, and I believe Nara Foods, Nara. If I bought it from there, I will see it. I will see the baby start to do those things. We cry, can't hold myself up. Baby's just like a floppy baby when it was not grabbing on, not sucking. And then eventually the nerves that innervate the baby's breathing, lungs, start to not work. So for that reason, if I suspect it, I want to get my baby to, I'm not making an appointment for tomorrow when the doctor has availability, blah, 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 blah. Because guess what? This bacteria working on them nerves. Okay. It don't care that you made an appointment next week. I want to take my baby to the nearest emergency room so my baby can be evaluated. Now, how do we evaluate? There are different tests that you can use to evaluate botulism. However, you don't wait for those tests. You look at the symptoms, and then you call the people that you need to call. It's found on the information document, and you get what they call immune globulin. You get this thing that I'm gonna turn off my screen so y'all gonna have to see my kitchen right now so you can see what I'm talking about. They get this thing called immune globulins, and what you got to do is, I can't do it. My nerve, it's weak because the bacteria is here. My nerve is doing this. The bacteria is attacking it, making the nerve weak, so it's not doing it. The immune globulin, when the bacteria comes, it's like nope, and it handles the bacteria just like my gut bacteria would, but it's different. It grabs it and says, not today, leave those nerves alone. And it blocks it so the nerve can be free to do what it's going to do. Now, when I say nerve can be free to do what it's going to do, is that nerve going to immediately do what it's going to do? Like, I'm glad you're gone. No, nerves heal about 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter. You can't even see 1 millimeter a day. So that nerve is going to heal back slowly. So you went to the emergency room, you did everything you're going to do. They gave you the immune globulin. You're like, yay. And you're like, why is my baby not active like the baby usually is? It may take months. They may keep the baby. Most likely they will. It may take months for those nerves because the nerve has to grow back. Remember, the baby that you see, those nerves were growing for 10 months. Okay. So it may take long to grow those nerves back. And so the keys are, when you see the weaker suckling, when you hear the baby not crying as hard, you see the baby's not active and starting to, any of those signs, you want to get there as the first sign. You're not going to wait for all 3 signs. Get to the emergency room at the first sign, let them know. And then you also want to check your baby's infant formula. There's some numbers on the side of it that says LOT. Now, if you see it, you put the formula way up where nobody can get it. And you take it to the emergency room with you, but you don't give the baby any more of that. That's it for that bottle. Boom, done. Or that formula. Boom, done. Now, we've had experience with this. I think so. We've had experience with this. That's why you don't give babies honey before 12 months. If you hear don't give your baby honey before 12 months, is because botulism, that process, is usually associated with honey, but it's not limited to honey. So in this case, the public health system actually did its job by saying, hey, I know we all think it's honey, but it's also this. Let's watch out for it before it gets to Illinois. So kudos to IDPH.
So, Dr. Maya, how long does the immunoglobulin last? Does it have to be repeated?
Yeah, I'm not sure how long. I know it doesn't last, and I know it has to be repeated, but I don't know how long it lasts. But if step in, or I can.
I don't. I just want to say that when you go there, You want to ask the doctor that's giving it to you, when do I need to come back?
Yeah.
Because it
Usually
is,
they're going to keep the baby.
yeah,
They're not going to go home. Yeah. And they keep on
Oh, wow.
infusing. Mhm.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to do is to go back to the beginning and be clear that it's one specific product that the FDA has done a national recall on. It's NARA, spelled NARA, Organics Whole Milk Organic Powdered Infant Formula, 400 milligrams and 400 grams and 7 gram containers. So that's what's been recalled. But they don't talk about all the other whole milk part of infant formula that's out there. So that probably is okay to use. And so there were 3 infants in California, Washington, and Pennsylvania who were hospitalized as a result of this. So they suggest some immediate actions you should take. The first is stop using the product. If you have that product, NARA, NARA, Organics Whole Milk, Organic Powdered Infant Formula, stop using it, stop feeding it to your child. Also, to contact your baby's provider, whether they're showing symptoms or not, because you want to make sure that your baby has not been impacted by that. You want to document what happened and throw away anything that remains, and then wash any bottles, surfaces, or other items that may have come in contact with that formula. So there's some immediate steps if you have bought the product, you've used the products you should take. This is serious, and that's why there's a recall. But there's certain steps you need to take and take very quickly to protect your child.
Absolutely. And even though Joe shared what particular sizes it was found in, the CDC and the FDA is asking you all lots and all sizes. So they're saying all lots and all sizes, do not use it. Just as Joe says, get rid of it, throw it away. If you want to take it back to the store, take it. However, just get it out of your house and do not share it with your children. Well, Mary Ballinger is here and she says, good evening to everyone. Lauren Leon is here. Hey, Laura, she says, good evening. Rosetta Guy is here. Hey, Miss Guy. Miss Guy says hello to everyone. And Trevor has a question. Trevor's question is, explain the histories, or I think he means or leprosy, vitiligo. Why are they different? So anybody can grab that question. Don't all grab it at one time.
Talking about vitiligo, and vitiligo is actually an autoimmune disease where your body's attacking the cells that cause pigment to the skin. And so you'll see different colors instead of a uniform color. Leprosy, I think, is an infection. An infection of the skin is caused by an organism, and that has a completely different treatment. There are new treatments now for vitiligo. Some of the drugs we use to modify other autoimmune diseases, they've been trying in vitiligo. But leprosy is something that would be treated by an infectious disease doctor. Vitiligo would be treated by a dermatologist and sometimes a rheumatologist, depending on the circumstances.
You're absolutely right, Doctor.
Go ahead, Dr. Maya.
I didn't know if somebody else wanted to take it. I just think, but you're absolutely right, Dr. Graham.
No, you have a question that says, is leprosy treated by an infectious disease specialist? That was a question that came up.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's treated. So two things. Both of them have been around since ancient times. We read about them in a lot of historical books, including the Bible, right? Vitiligo, like Dr. Graham said, autoimmune. So some of the things you'll see in leprosy, like Dr. Graham says, is caused by a bacterium. So today's Bacteria Day, I guess, but so you'll see in vitiligo, your skin has these patches that are lighter. They attack cells, and Dr. Graham, you can put the specialist hat on. I'm gonna put my community explanation hat on. They attack so your autoimmune, your immune system starts to attack a lot of things, but specifically cells that make the color tone, like so my chocolate, and then if it doesn't make it, my skin will be a lighter color. Sometimes they say white, but I want us to be aware that sometimes it only attacks in some areas a little bit. We know people that have been vitiligo. It's actually, it can be beautiful, so it's nothing to be ashamed. In fact, we have models like Winnie Harlow that have walked all kinds of catwalks, Victoria's Secret, luxury catwalks. She has vitiligo and it makes her skin beautiful. It's you know, it may be uncomfortable sometimes. And, you know, because of history, people have been shamed for, but that's not the first time people have been shamed for beautiful characteristics. You see all this? But let's go back to this. We're not talking about that. We're talking about now leprosy. Leprosy is caused by a bacteria that actually causes a lot of infection in the body. But if it causes it in the skin and in the hair, you will actually lose the hair in that patch. But if it's vitiligo, so a lot of times the hair in that patch will actually just turn white, because remember, the melanation of the pigment is attached, right? So autoimmune, the body saying, hey, these things, you know, I don't like that. We have other autoimmune things. In this case, we're talking about pigmented cells, autoimmune stuff, things like some thyroid disorders, diabetes. In a lot of cases, we don't talk about that. Arthritis, things like that. The body auto attacks, has immune against itself in some areas. Leprosy, there's a foreign, not the body, bacteria that gets in there and starts attacking things, because they both attack skin and hair, but they also are attacking other things. We just see skin and hair, so we base it on that. Leprosy is now it's multi-drug. It used to be treated by one drug, but it's multi-drug regimen that you can take to get rid of leprosy. And so infectious disease for leprosy, autoimmune, like Dr. Graham said, autoimmune specialist, and I think there's another one, that dermatologist.
Dermatologist, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Dr. Maya, you mentioned, and this is my own question. You mentioned that, and I'm going to grab the question off Instagram. I see your question there. You mentioned that vitiligo in your hair can turn your hair white. Now, so before we get flooded, gray hair.
Mm-hmm. I have no, you know what?
Where does those angry little hairs come from? Because those hairs are angry.
I don't know.
Hair is stubborn and thick and angry. It's hard to color. I'm trying to color my hair. That gray hair is angry.
I don't automatically, I mean, my thoughts on that, I never actually looked that up or studied. My thoughts on that are the pigment producing cells over time, just like, okay, go ahead. I think it sounds like Dr. Graham.
I was going to say, Dr. White, that's what I believe too, is that the pigment cells age and they die over time. And so you begin to lose them. And, you know, at first it turns gray, and then the more you lose, it turns white.
Well, Yolanda was agreeing with me, because Yolanda says, thank you. That was going to be her question. Yeah. Our question off Instagram from Stephanie and Cheryl, they both asked the question, can botulism, poisoning in the infants, be fatal? I think that's a great question. Thank you for your question.
Absolutely. And that's why we're like, don't wait for all the symptoms. Don't wait to figure it out yourself. Send it. Absolutely. I apologize for not even saying that. Yes, it absolutely is fatal if left untreated, because remember, that was when the nerves, and usually gets fatal when the nerves that innervate the heart and the lung start slowing down, because you slow down your heartbeat, you slow down your ability to exchange oxygen and get rid of nutrients. Get rid of CO2, other things you don't need. You stop breathing, stop heartbeat, you know. So yes, that's why it's important right then, you know. When you see decreased suckling, when you see a weaker cry, when the baby isn't active and the body looks floppy and stuff like that, go immediately. You contact your provider, like Mr. Harrington said, but you contact your provider, but you go immediately to the nearest ER.
Yeah. Outstanding.
I want to say what Maya said. Wait. We've told you what to do. Just do it. You know, if you bought the product, get rid of the product. if someone has ingested the product, you need to take them to see a doctor. I think that's the message.
Outstanding. Well, Mary Ballinger is here. She says, yes, it is, Nikki. She's talking about that gray hair. She said they're just mad for no reason. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the congressman had some concerns that he wanted the panel to actually speak about tonight just as well. And that is staying healthy in heat conditions. I mean, we are approaching the summertime, and he wants to know, how can we share with the community how to stay healthy in this heat? One, I want to start this conversation off. One, check on your seniors. Check on your seniors. Let's make sure that they have some type of air conditioning or fans or something in their house. So let's check on our seniors, check on our seasoned populations, or just any population that may be living in a home or a unit or something that may not have proper circulation. Doug, go right ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that you want to limit your time outside in the direct sun the best you can. And when you go outside, it may not seem the right thing to do, but wear a hat because you want to protect the top of your head from that sun if you're out there for more than 10 minutes, because that's the fastest way to get overheated. You want to make sure that you're
one of the things is pretty simple.
Pardon, Joseph?
I'll just add something while Joe was waiting to come back.
Okay.
And that is hydration.
Yeah.
We really need to be certain that we are, especially when the weather gets warm and it's more hot and you're sweating, you're losing that water that comes off your body that causes sweat is working in concert with the air that's circulating in order to facilitate the cooling. But you still need to drink the water. And I want to emphasize, and maybe my colleagues will chime in, but it's important that you drink water because we want to make sure that you get enough hydration from the fluid that you're drinking. And when you're drinking sweetened drinks or even some juices, you're not getting the same amount of the volume of water because you want the liquids, which have sugars and other things in them, are not allowing, for lack of a better term, for you to get the full benefit. So you really want to get the water as best you can. My colleagues, if they choose to comment there.
See, I want to add to that. It's not just the sugar drinks, but alcohol. The alcohol related.
Dr. Miller, I think you unmuted to say something.
No, I go. He can go ahead. I was going to just comment on the fact that also being aware of chronic condition that individuals have is very important, so that you can at least in some instances you may need protection. You may need to do certain things that without these conditions that you can you won't have an issue with. But if you're diabetic and your blood sugar is out of control, and Dr. Mason talked about hydration, then you may be partially dehydrated because you're losing more urine and thus losing body fluid. So you'll need to drink even more water. People with heart and lung conditions tend to have difficulties when the weather is hot. So it is important that they find a cooling space. So knowing where a cooling space is that person can go to if they are in a house that doesn't have air conditioning is very important.
Joe, are you frozen? We'll come right back to Joe. I want to say hey to Michelle Garrison that is here with us. Good evening. She says, good evening to everyone. We have a question off Instagram that says, I take blood pressure medicine that has a diuretic in it as well. How do I stay hydrated? Can adding watermelon along with regular water to my diet help hydration when it's super hot? Well, you don't all have to answer that question at the same time. Oh, Maya, if you're answering, you're muted. We can't hear you.
I'll go ahead. I know my colleagues have been doing this. I know they know. But thank you for giving me this space. Yes, the key with watermelon is you have a little watermelon, but that's not. Dr. Mason says something very, very profound. You know, it sounds simple, but it's not simple. Nothing is water but water. Okay. So yes, you can have some watermelon, not too much because watermelon does have sugar. It also plays into what Dr. Miller said. If I'm a person and I'm living with diabetes, cardiac conditions, things like that, I don't want to just be drinking watermelon and talking about, oh, watermelon is hydrating. You know what I'm saying? You can have some, look up the guidelines, talk to your doctor, but watermelon and watermelon juice is not a substitute for water. In the words of Dr. Mason, nothing is water but water.
But why?
So the person on the diuretic has a very real problem. And when you're out in the hot weather, you're sweating and you're losing water, and you're taking the pill and you're losing water too. You have to take water to replace what you lose by sweat. Otherwise, you'll have a lower blood pressure, you'll feel weak, you'll feel tired. So you're really going to have to keep up with the water, even though you're taking a water pill, because you're losing it as you breathe through your lungs and through your skin. And that's got to be replaced.
Wonderful. So Willie, one of the guys in the garage, he says, "Hey, my name is Willie. I'm one of the guys in the garage." He is wondering, how can you tell the signs of a sunstroke?
Well, part of it is you're not going to be thinking very clearly. You're not going to be as sharp as you could be. Your reactions aren't going to be very good. Your movements are going to be slow, and your speech isn't going to be as clear as it used to be. So if you feel like there are any of these things going on, you know you've had too much sun and too much heat, and you have to get into the shade and get some cold fluids, because this can progress and you could get even more sick. Those changes in your heart rate too.
So there's a feeling that I know someone that went through heat stroke, and two things. Not everybody has the same experience. There are plenty of people that have this heat stroke, and you talk to them, they had absolutely no clue what was coming. And then when there are symptoms, so in the words of Dr. Mason, these are things you prevent before they come. You don't wait. By the time you figure out you're in heat stroke, it's too late. But dizziness, nausea is one of them. And then the body tries to regulate itself. So all of a sudden you're like, I need water. And you get this urgency for water. And that urgency for water is A, the body trying to say, hey, do something. But B, like Dr. Graham said, we have stuff called stroke volume. We have something we call stroke volume. And there's an equation for stroke volume. Your heart has to beat a certain number of times, and it has to put a certain number of fluids that have minerals, oxygen, things like that out, right? So if I'm in heat stroke, why am I confused? My brain is not getting oxygen, right? So the heart is like, oh, bananas. I'm not going to use, it's a family show. I better get more oxygen, more minerals to the brain, to the heart, to everywhere. So it'll speed up, because now, remember, I'm heat stroke. I may be dehydrated. That's why you drink water, so you don't dehydrate and go into heat stroke, But now I'm working with a smaller amount of fluid. So the body says, push it faster. Circulate that small amount faster to share with everything, including my brain. Then you start feeling these anxiousness. Then you get confused, things like that. And I can't remember what colleague said it, the thing you want to do is get to a cooler environment, get cool water. Only water is water, right? And some people, when I say that, people are like, but what about that IV, blah, 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 blah. Good question. That's why you call 911. And the people that do IVs will determine whether or not they need an IV. So no need for me to do my salt mineral balance. You know what I'm saying? I call 911. If anybody has heat stroke, you don't take them, cool them down, and let them sit there, give them water, and be like, you're all right now. Once heat stroke starts, you go ahead and call 911. You can cool them down, take them out the sun, cooling down with cool water, call 911. I put in the chat for Facebook the Chicago Cooling Center, so please take a look.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, Congressman, any
We done?
questions? Any questions?
Oh, I got a lot of questions all the time. One dates back to whether or not any of the physicians know how prevalent leprosy might be. I hadn't thought much about it, but I've actually visited the leprosarium in Louisiana.
Okay.
That's where they treat leprosy, and the whole place is lined up. I went there with the undersecretary of health one time and a group, and it was fascinating because everything was designed in such a way to soften things so that the individuals who were there would not be hurt as they moved around and as they did the normal things that people do. But does anyone know how prevalent uh, that disease is today?
Well, it's not very common in the United States. It's most common in India. And there are about 200 new thousand cases a year, 200,000 new cases a year. And then I think there's some in Brazil and Indonesia. And it turns out that the majority of people have immunity to it.
And I guess there are certain parts of the country, I mean, in the United States, certain climatic uh, conditions that help or cause the creation in some ways, like the southwestern
Mm-hmm.
part of the country and areas of that type. I do recall that.
Yeah, I think Florida, Texas, and Louisiana. But most of the cases occur people who travel through places where leprosy is occurring overseas and then bring it back to the United States.
I do remember the year that the heat was so intense in Chicago that we had a large number, especially of seniors, uh, individuals with certain ages who did pass away because they just were overheated and in some places air conditioning units and fans, and you couldn't find a heating and ventilation person no matter how hard you tried because they were all working. They all had. So I don't expect that we never know because we never know what the weather conditions might become. But I guess if it should, then I would suspect that we learned our lesson to a real degree, and that the City of Chicago Department of Public Health, as well as other public health entities, would be well prepared to handle such a situation or such a crisis. But it's really one that I never forget because I remember that the morgue couldn't handle the numbers of people and all. So it can be a problem.
There was 795 deaths in July 5. That was the worst heat wave ever in the history of Chicago. And it just goes to show you that heat can kill. And one of the things that it led to is more efforts to provide cooling centers and places where people could, like warming centers. I mean, the heat can kill, and extremes of cold can kill as well. And we still to this day have a real population of people that are either homeless or unhoused and are at higher risk than people that have stable housing. So it's something we need to keep in mind, particularly in the summertime. As the temperatures go up, there are people that are at risk, but the elderly and people that are unhoused are probably at the greatest risk in terms of having some problems.
I'd like to add, because I was commissioner of health at the time that was going on for the city of Chicago, and it was really amazing. To your point, Joe, and to the congressman, many people, no one thought people would die from heat, but they did. They did die from the heat. And, we learned about, in fact, the city undertook a number of initiatives, not the least of which were beginning to look at how we build in the city of Chicago. How do we disperse some of this heat when it becomes unnecessary? The heat islands that were created, the tremendous amount of work that was done with climatologists at that time to really look at, and then to look at the fact that there were people who were afraid to open windows because of theft and other kinds of things. Unfortunately, many seniors, but they were in these places. So we need to make certain that we brush off those plans. Office of Emergency Management and Communication for the city of Chicago did some very nice planning during that time. And also, there was even some planning about trying to modulate the heat from what are called heat islands, or different types of surface areas that help put out more heat than others. But there's a lot that we learned, and hopefully that even more that we will take into account as if this should ever happen again. And looking at people who ran out of money, didn't have much money to pay their electric bill, and could not afford to have their air conditioners and things like that running. So I say this only to say that sometimes we have to look at these things multifactorially, and in areas that we're not necessarily always looking at, to see where the damage is, not to mention that people still have to get out, get food, and all these other kinds of things during these things. So I just wanted to put that out, because I was there at the time, and it was an amazing time for me. I learned a lot about heat emergencies, working with churches, working with other agencies to try to do what we could to sort of augment, sort of manage this a bit more, so that we have fewer fatalities and even fewer morbidities.
Dr. Mason,
Yes,
uh,
ma'am.
one thing that I like that the Department of Public Health does, the Hood County Department of Public Health, uh, and CDPH, is put out the cooling centers.
Hmm.
One of the things that I call it part of my superpower. One of the things that I fortunately or unfortunately been able to notice is patterns of how we react to things, and the things that are the things that are happening, but how we react. Right now, if we look at what happened twice last week, where if I live in a space and I don't have a generator, and I know my space is cooled by air conditioning, and I might want to think about what will happen if we have another rain, we have another torrential, and my and all of that is cut off. It's a good time for me to make a family plan and know know where know where the nearest couple of cooling centers are. because we posted it in the Facebook chat. Thank you, Nikki, for having that chat attached to this. However, I don't want to get in a situation where my internet net doesn't work. My computer is home all day, draining down my battery. And then I'll be like, let me get online and go through Nikki's chat and figure out whether blah, blah, blah. Print it out now. Pick your places now. Hopefully you never need it.
Mm.
You know? So
Outstanding. Well, Connie Taylor. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, the situation that we're talking about
Go right ahead.
combined. Oh, go ahead. The situation we're having with the outages combined with the heat, and historically, you see the weather is doing this. But remember, we live in Chicago. Chicago's going to Chicago. So Chicago might decide to still be summer very, very long in the future. So just because it's June, Chicago hasn't summer showed out yet, does not mean Chicago won't be like, well, I didn't summer show out in June, summer show out in September. You know what I'm saying? Chicago's gonna do what Chicago does. We love her and we prepare.
Outstanding. Well, Connie Taylor is here. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
No, one of the things, and the last time I worked at the Department of Public Health as an assistant commissioner, I had a lot of opportunities to work with the Department of Environment and learned a lot about climate change and changes in the environment. And everything that was protected 20, 15 years ago, we're starting to see in terms of weather pattern. The weather's become more unpredictable, more unstable. We're seeing more hot days, more cold days, more hot days in the summer, more cold days in the winter. So what we used to expect in terms of the weather is not what we can expect moving forward. So the types of unnatural weather or uncommon weather that we've seen lately is going to become more common moving forward. So people do need to have a plan. I think what Dr. Meyer was talking about is everybody needs to be prepared in the event of emergency. I mean, everybody should have a flashlight in their house. Everybody should have some kind of package to be prepared in case you don't have power. You have to have some reserve of food. So it's a topic maybe for another time, but we don't know what's going to happen. And the best thing, and I remember being a Boy Scout, the motto of the Boy Scouts was be prepared. I mean, that's what we're talking about now. You have to be prepared for any eventuality because when it happens, you need to go and you need to go right away. And if you're not prepared, you just need to go.
Well, you are absolutely You are right, Joe. Well, Connie Taylor is here. She says, good evening to everyone. Sharon Conaway says, at my site, I'll open the door for plenty of air to come in and plenty of water. So thank you, Sharon, for sharing that. Renelle Perry is here and she says, as we think about the super data centers, do we look at how it would impact the power grid, which, if that happens in the summer, could cause a problem?
She's
Well, thank
absolutely
you, Renelle,
right.
for sharing that.
And that should be something
Yes.
that our legislature should look at, and there should be public code about that.
Uh-huh.
It's a valid concern.
Well, thank you, Renelle, so much for sharing that. And of course, I know you guys hate when I say this part, and that is, it's our time. I know you guys hate it. It's okay. I know you hate it. But with saying that, we're going to go around the table and do our until next Mondays. And then I want you to continue to send in what you want to talk about. I know we have our group of doctors who wants to have the menopause conversation. So I want to say thank you to the men who reached out to the office to want to have the menopause conversation. And since the congressman is planning a very large health event, we'll be adding that in. So we'll be having that planning meeting that we talked about just as well. So, Dr. Miller, what's your until next Monday?
Well, I think that as we are going through the changes of the seasons, as well as there's a lot of things that one need to really focus on and pay attention to. And you know, with the when I sign on tonight, you guys was talking about an infectious disease. And some of these things, especially when it's a contaminated food, that food is more easily contaminated if not properly cared for during the warmer season. So we have to make certain that we take care of our food and that we have it managed in the proper way. Otherwise, we are at risk of having our food become spoiled, as we say, or contaminated with bacteria, and that can cause health problems. So make certain that you pay attention to those things as we enter this warmer season.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. And you stimulated Miss Fanchon. Miss Fanchon said, thank you, Dr. Miller, for that comment. I would like to ask Congressman Davis. Congressman Davis, can you please ask the utility companies to be lenient on some of us? The utility companies are going up. Gas prices are so high until we are robbing Peter to pay Paul and paying a little bit everywhere. When they cut lights off in the summer, we have no air conditioning, and of course, our food and everything goes bad. What do? Let's ask for some leniency. So, thank you so very much, Ms. Fanchon. I can't answer for the congressman, but I can say the congressman does a resource fair every year to assist people in need of having some of their services reconnected. And that is a service that we have done in our office, that we advocate for that to happen. And that was an idea of the congressman years ago. And we tend to have one of those resource events each year. So just wanted to put that out there again. But yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Fanchon, for sharing. Gas is expensive, I must say. I rode my bike all day long Saturday. All day long Saturday, I was on my bike. So yes, you are absolutely right. Well, Dr. Mason, you're until next Monday.
My next month until next Monday comes out of something that happened when I was at the city of Chicago, and that is as we're getting into the summer months now and having outdoor activities, food outdoors. Please be mindful keeping your foods cool. You want to keep them at below. You don't want them to be frozen, but you certainly want them to be cooler than just normal temperature. And so that's because one year we were out and we had to go and work with some people throwing out a lot of potato salad because it was too warm and had spoiled. So take care of the foods when you're having your outdoor activities, especially things like mayonnaise and other things that are there. So you want to make sure you keep your foods cool, especially when it's hot outside, so that you don't have bacteria growing. One of the worst things we did at one time at one of the taste of Chicago's was there was a problem where people were not monitoring the temperatures of the food. So you want to be careful. Make sure that you know what you're eating, how long it's been there, if you can, and if it's been refrigerated, if it should be. So please do that, because there's some real problems that you can get with food being kept at too warm a temperature in the summertime.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Well, Renelle Perry sends a message and says, let's have a conversation about youth mental health. So thank you so very much, Renelle, for sharing. Well, Dr. Maya, I don't see you. There she is. You're until next Monday.
I'm gonna go with what Mr. Harrington said about the Boy Scouts, and people don't like him, but I still like them. Scar from The Lion King. Be prepared. So you might not love. I love singing little things like that because those are things that stick in people's heads. So if nothing sticks today, think about all the things we said with botulism. Think about all the things we said with understanding leprosy, but also vitiligo, and that it's a beautiful thing and not necessarily people have a right to their own bodies, but shouldn't be looked at as, with the stigma. And we talked about what? Botulism, beautiful, vitiligo, leprosy, and heat. Staying safe. So be prepared.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, Doug, you're until next Monday.
Well, I just personally want to thank the congressman for bringing this issue to the discussion tonight, because this really is true public health. And people always want to say, well, what do I get for money when I pay my taxes? This is really critical to alert everybody that there is a problem with the food source, how to recognize it, what to do about this. Imagine what would happen to the babies in this community if nobody knew. They only found out about it too late.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the suffering and the losses would be huge. So I think of public health with a big positive. It's there for you, it's there for me, it's there for all of us to keep all of us safe and healthy. So again, my thanks to the congressman to bringing this to the discussion tonight so that we can share it with all of you.
Outstanding. Well, Joe, you're until next Monday.
Well, I'm going to pick up on something that Dr. Mason created when he was commissioner, and I was reminded of it, and I've talked about it before. He had a very simple prescription for people to be healthy. It was called 5 to Thrive, and it consists of 5 simple things: drink more water, eat more fruits and veggies, exercise your body, mind, and spirit, be sexually responsible, and lastly, avoid all addictive substances and behavior. 5 things to do to thrive.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to make 2 comments tonight. Usually I don't make many, but I'm going to make 2 comments. To the 8 people on Instagram who sent the message to Dr. Mason asking about keeping foods cold, was he talking about potato salad and coleslaw? Those are 2, but he's talking about keeping anything cold that needs to be cold, such as pasta salads. There are tons of salads and things in the summer that needs to be cold. So let me
Chicken.
tell you what you need. Chicken, make sure. So I'm going to share something with you really quick.
Yeah.
Here's a couple hacks that you can do. If you are using those aluminum pans, take one of the aluminum pans, half with water, and freeze it. Make it a complete block of ice. And then sit the food on top of that ice in another pan. And then keep the pan covered. Also, make sure that you have a thermometer. There's something called a temperature danger zone with food. If you can keep that food under 40 Fahrenheit or 4 Celsius, you're fine. But if it's over that, then you're in that danger zone where it begins to build bacteria. So remember, freeze a pan of water into ice. Sit it on top, just a flat substance of ice, frozen, and keep it covered. And I believe you'll do great. My next thing is summertime. To all of my friends or to all of my people who suffer from asthma, such as I do, summer is coming. Asthma has an issue.
Mm.
Keep your inhaler, take your treatments. It is so, even if you always are clear and don't need to take your treatments, the doctors give you those nebulizers for a reason. In the summertime and when it gets really cold, even when I'm not having any respiratory issues, I know that it helps me. So I see Dr. Miller nodding because he taught me this. Take your medicine. Keep your inhaler, keep your rescue inhaler. Take when he tells you to take those treatments. And the next thing I learned, perfumes can actually trigger your asthma. So if you limit wearing perfumes and just maybe do a fresh scented body wash when you're when you're bathing, things may be better for you. Things may be better. Want to say really quickly, thank you to Mary Ballinger. Mary Ballinger says, as always, Congressman Davis, we received the wonderful gift of you all sharing needed information, and I am so grateful and thankful to each of you. And then we have Miss Kara Barber, and she says, this is great information to share with the community. Thanks, and stay safe for my fellow healthcare professionals. Thank you so very much. Well, Congressman, as always. Oh, and Juneteenth is coming up. And this is something that's near and dear to the congressman's heart, and all the things that he has done. He was Congressman had the pen because he signed the bill. Congressman, can you hear me?
Okay, I think I do hear you, and I want to thank everybody for a wonderful, delightful discussion. And in an effort to answer two questions that were raised, I'm going to first agree that Dr. Mason was a good commissioner, Joe. And those five recommendations don't cost too much. They didn't cost much. And they didn't cost the taxpayers any money to make them happen. Because in the end, each one of us have as much responsibility for our health and our well-being as any system, any doctor, any clinic, anybody. The last word and the first word is generally us. I sat in the airport all night on Thursday of last week. I didn't go to bed. And this is answering the question about utilities because I wanted to get back to the funeral of a fellow named George Lawson, who was a leader and a member of the South Austin Coalition. And it was the South Austin Coalition that were very instrumental in creating the LIHEAP program, the Low Income Utilities Assistance Program, LIHEAP, where people's utilities could not be turned off. It started as something called the 12% program, where if you paid 12% of your income, that the light and gas and telephone people could not turn your utilities off. And that evolved, started in Ohio. But the South Austin Coalition, under the leadership of George and a woman named Mrs. Norwood and a woman named Miss Lillian Drummond, who just died last year. Miss Drummond was 103. Fellow named Bob Von Drasic, and they were one of the best local advocacy organizations in America, unequivocally and without a doubt. So asking the utility companies to go kind of easy, they didn't ask them. They did the number that ultimately ended up in LIHEAP, which does exactly what the caller requested in terms of trying to make sure that utility rates and, of course, our former governor, my dear friend Pat Quinn, who created, in a real sense, CUB, the Citizens Utility Board, where citizens had an opportunity to influence the Illinois Commerce Commission, which is the rate setting outfit. So it was just so funny in a way to hear that question. That was, and I also did another funeral Saturday, of course, Spencer Leak Jr.'s funeral. And that kind of fit a great deal into what we call our end of life concerns. Because Spencer, of course, was noted for the work that he and his iconic family have done in the end of life business. And so all of this stuff, Joe, kind of comes together in different ways and different approaches. And I want to just again thank you, Nicole. I also want to thank again our tremendous panelists. You know, I did a great big health thing last week at the Willard Hotel down from the White House that this consultant group put on. And, you know, they really wanted to talk about technology and how technology and all of the improvements. And I was one of the speakers. And I think I ended up saying no matter how much technology there might be and how impactful technology might become, nothing will ever take the place, as a good friend of mine from this fellow who started the Wayne Minor Health Center, Dr. Rogers, used to say, you can't do it without a doctor. So go ahead and do it without a doctor if you can. And of course, he would swear a little bit every once in a while. And so without the patient and the doctor, nothing will do it. So let me thank both those of you who are doctors, but also those of us who are patients. We're going to improve health status, health outcomes, and make America the great nation that it ought to be. So thank you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye
All right.
now.